Peace and Black Power. Welcome to another edition of BABATV Every Time Fire, House of Consciousness, with the spokesman for the House of Consciousness, my big brother Sankofa, whom I haven't seen in quite a while. I'm very elated that he's back in my presence and in front of BABATV to expound on some very important issues, as he always does. Brother Sankofa, take it away, brother.
I gotta make sure you still got
peace, love, and light, and power to the family. Thank you, Brother Baba, for allowing me the chance, the opportunity, and the pleasure, as I always start off saying, to come before the people to express my views, my perspective, and what's on the heart, soul, and mind of your brother Sankofa. So basically, I just want to kind of go back in. It's loud and crazy out here, right? But I'm going to stay honed in and focused. I want to talk about what Kanye had mentioned, right, Baba? Maybe, was about 2 months ago, close to 2 months ago, which, man, was a hot button topic. I mean, everybody was divided along the lines of the topic, conscious and unconscious community, all right? And the topic is slavery a choice? Kanye West says slavery is a choice. After 400 years, I think slavery is a choice. You know, I believe there's a way you can say that coming from a person who is not engaged with the everyday struggle. Not to say they don't have them, because even as a rich black man, there are things that you're dealing with, right, in this system, you know, that doesn't really have your best interest in mind either. You're just a rich nigga. Like Muhammad Ali said, educated black man, educated, you're still an educated or a rich nigga. So, you know, I have to give him, like, you're not just free because you have money. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't just take away every shackle, all right, in society that society has on you, or every potential pitfall, right, that this system has set up for you as a black person, whether you're rich, poor, educated, or uneducated, a GED or a degree, right? But however, he said something that sparked a very controversial hot button topic, and it was slavery? Well, he said, not was, he didn't even pose a question. He made a comment and asserted that slavery is a choice after 400 years. Initially, I disagree. And I still disagree to an extent, because coming from a person, like I was starting to say, that is not a freedom fighter, that is not on the front line, that hasn't made sacrifices, and whose life is not potentially in jeopardy because he has sacrificed the world and the riches for the liberation of his people. Coming from a person like that, you're speaking it from a pseudo perspective. Information isn't just pseudo. Sometimes people's character and personality is also pseudo. Sometimes their comments predicated on their mind state or where they're at in life outside of the paradigm in which they're speaking on, therefore by proxy can make what they're talking about pseudo because they're not involved with that specific struggle, right? However, I had to reevaluate even my perspective. I went in. That nigga coon, he ain't married to a black woman, slavery's not a choice, as if we just said, come on, massa, put shackles on us. We want to go into slavery. But as I started to talk to people about my disdain for the comment that he made, many of people over the last 2 months, I came to the conclusion that yes, we got to understand this. First of all, let me put it in perspective. Slavery wasn't just physical. Slavery was beyond chains and physical shackles and cargo human slavery, right? Down in Mississippi and in other parts, South and even the North. Hell, slavery was up here too, for those who think it was some oasis of freedom up here for blacks. All right, some of the most vicious slave masters was up here, and some of the most brutal slavery that we've experienced was up here in the North. However, even though it's not like we went and signed up to be a slave, right? We were prisoners of war, and many people were slaves. Hell, in fact, the term slave comes from the word Slav, which dealt with the people of Slavic descent who were enslaved by Romans, their white brethren, and that institution had become so lucrative, right, of human conquest for free labor, that not only the word Slav had not only became an identity to identify people of Slavic descent, but it also came conducive with a status synonymous with the people of Slavic descent became, which was a Slav or a slave. So let me first say this: the term slave began with white-on-white slavery and white-on-white conquest and white-on-white crime, something that we don't talk about, okay? Look up the Mameluke Rebellion. It wasn't until then you had whites conquering other whites. Germanic tribes conquering other whites that they seen as inferior. There's a book. It's like Hitler's Bible. It's written by a person by the name of Madison Grant, written over 100 years ago. And it's called The Passing of a Great Race. Madison Grant, Passing of a Great Race. This was a book that Hitler respected and revered according to his own account. And in this book, it talks about different types and different pedigrees of whites. So you got to understand something, that slavery existed before the black man was physically in slavery. There was all kind of other whites enslaving other so-called whites, right? And then it became exclusively relegated to us after the Mameluke Rebellion and other things had took place after the 13, 14, 1500s, where we were among some of the last people to go into slavery in America and the Caribbeans. This is an actual fact. So when you talk about slavery being a choice, no. After years of wars, conquests, internal warfare, where you let your defenses down, you have no external protection or diplomacy or alliances, you set yourself up to be potentially conquered, imprisoned, and therefore made a slave. All slaves didn't just come to America. Some people were slaves and still slaves in Africa to this day. Even all the way up into the Geneva Convention, where dealt with, you know what I'm saying, slaves, ending slavery in Mauritania in Africa, where you had slaves there up into the 1980s. What I want to talk about in regards to what Kanye West said was the dynamic of the psychological slavery. Because the worst kind of slave is not a slave on a plantation that know he's a slave, that know he got to fight for freedom, but a slave who thinks he's free, but he's only physically free, but he's psychologically and psycho-spiritually still in bondage, right? And in this day of information, in this day and age of vast information, insurmountable information, I have to ask myself, and I have to ask us as a people, I ask myself, I've already came up with the conclusion that not for everyone, but for a great, vast majority of our people, I do believe slavery in a psychological sense is a choice. How can you say something like that, Sankofa? Because even though I'm a visionary, I see the vision of liberation. I see the vision of freedom, which comes with sacrifice and which comes with revolution. However, I'm a realist. And in real time, when I talk to most of my people about the conditions, about the historicity that led to the conditions, and about what we ought to do or need to even discuss employing or incorporating, right, in order that we take steps towards liberation on whatever level, peace, my brother, all right, respect. Talking to my people hurt. It hurts me to see how psychologically enslaved that a lot of us still are. So I would have to, based on my experiences, and I'm sure many can relate, I'm Black Power, I love my people. I'm gonna ride till I die for the cause of liberation. I'm not buck dancing or trying to make no excuses for, man, I ain't trying to be down with this no more. People don't want to wake up. No. My hurt when I talk to my people for seeing them mentally enslaved, at the root of that is out of the love that I had for them. Because if there was no love for the people, right, and there was no genuine and there was no legitimate love for the people that I have deeply rooted in the center of my soul, it wouldn't bother me like that, because I wouldn't give a damn. Like most of the people's walking around like zombies with blindfolders on, that ain't gonna bust a grape and a cherry or throw rice at a wedding for any kind of fight on any level for the liberation of their people. I was wearing a shirt. I'm gonna grab this right quick, Baba. But you're going to give credence to the point that I want to convey. Yes. God is black. I had this shirt on earlier. I took it off because it was a little hot. And the shirt a little thick. The fiber in the shirt ain't no joke. But I put it on for shock value. Shout out to my brother Sarnetta for blessing me with this powerful and beautiful and truthful shirt. But when I put it on, it gave credence to the point in which I'm conveying that psychological slavery, which is worse than physical slavery. Because if you don't even know that you're in slavery, you're never going to fight to liberate yourself from it. And if you don't even want knowledge that gives you liberation, because it don't put money in your pocket, or it doesn't give you any materialistic kind of status in this world today, so what the hell that gonna do for me, which a lot of our people, a vast, not all, but a vast majority of us think, then we are duped into being psychological slaves. That's just what it is. I had this shirt on earlier. The people that mostly got offended, I wore it from downtown. I got back into town. I came into 34th Street, right? Got back in town from Boston, all right? Shout out to Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. Got back in town. Man, I put this shirt on. Man, by the time I walked from 34th Street to 50th Street, most of the people offended and had the shock value was black people. Specifically black women. There's about 3 different black women, all had white men on their arms, all subservient and bedwinched the fuck out. You can see it all in their eyes. You can see, yes, massa, all in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? And they had the shirt on. One sister like, why would you wear a shirt like that? Instead of saying that everybody, God's for everybody. In other words, you're trying to be an overprotective slave and protecting Brad's emotions. You didn't want Brad to be embarrassed because you're a good nigga bitch and a good bedwinch hoe, and you don't want Brad, you know what I'm saying, the ghetto gagger, offended by what I had on. So you took offense to that, even though I'm minding my business, didn't even know you existed. This shirt offended your existence, it seems like, with the cracker. And this is what we dealt with. That wasn't just one, that was at 34th Street. But I got to town to 42nd Street, I'm like, damn, I'll be surprised they'll even see a black woman with a black man. You know what I'm saying? And it goes for some of you coon niggas out there too. I'm only honing in on my sister because those are specific situations that I had today. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are lost collectively. So I'm not just trying to put the sisters down, because some of the greatest, strongest warriors, soldiers, teachers, and healers that I know are the black woman. All right? So let me please say that as a disclaimer and make the distinction. All right? However, men are territorial by nature. Right? And because I love my people, and I know that the woman is the first teacher of the child, to see a woman lost like that, agitated like that, and overprotective of ghetto gagging Brad over a t-shirt that I had on that instills pride in a people who have been psychologically, mentally, spiritually colonialized to hate themselves and to see God other than themselves, although they are the first people on the planet. They worship the God, the concepts, and the ideas of the youngest people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, by proxy, bastardizing and disrespecting their own ancestors. I figure I'm getting praise to my ancestors, glory to my ancestors, and I'm walking around with some sense of pride and dignity, which takes audacity in this world of ignorance, right? Where the white man's renaissance of hatred from black men is on an all-time high. You have the bedwench hoe, you know what I'm saying, who's going out the most. I know people are going to be mad, you know what I'm saying, but I'm a realist. You love loving hip-hop, you love battle rapping, but you don't like when a realist and a revolutionary, you know what I'm saying, has the audacity to use a little passion and a little curse word to talk about you niggas and what we need to get correct as a people. I already know how we think, but I'm not really caught up into your feelings, and I'm not here to win a popularity contest. The truth is not popular anyway. So whether I give the truth to you, you know what I'm saying, with frosting and the cherry on top, or give it to you raw, a lot of you niggas don't want to hear it because it's true, period. And a lot of times you're the enemy of truth because the truth exposes you. It exposes where you are mentally, psychologically, and it kind of puts you in a position where you have to evaluate self, and then you have to really look at self in a mirror and then say to myself, damn, there's a lot of explaining I got to do about how I think that I might have been blind, ignorant, and lost to all my life. This is true. Truth is not popular. So whether I give it to you raw, hardcore, with a chaser, with a frost and a cherry on top, a lot of times you don't want to hear it anyway, so I'm going to keep it raw and funky anyway. Those who can feel it and receive it, much power and love and respect to you. Those who don't, hopefully one day you will. Those who never will, the hell with you. We are at war. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, you know? When we look into slavery even, physical, chattel slavery on the plantation, we talk about Nat Turner a lot. Nat Turner was one of our greatest soldiers, had the audacity, you know what I'm saying, that he did to take a stand, to strike a blow for the cause of attempting to bring about some liberation for the people, right? Who sold him out? Black people. It was the black people who sold him out. Many people who would escape from the plantation, right? A lot of black folk will go on to tell him, entrusted servants, the house Negro, or the overseer in the plantation. We always talk about the house Negro. Sometimes there was a Negro right in the field that was an overseer and a watchful eyes and the ears and even the hands, because some of them niggas had whips too, for the master. This is a fact. And if you even talked about Africa too much, or played a drum too goddamn much, or even had a problem with your condition and talked, or even gave an inclination that you wanted some kind of slavery, you was ready to escape, right? What would happen? It would be a lot of your own kind, right, who was choosing to remain a slave, who would shut you down, who would make sure that you got shut up, and they made an example of you to those who had the audacity to think like you did. Even Malcolm X said this. Remember Malcolm X said this? Come on, when a slave, we go to house nigga and be like, come on, let's get out of here, let's be free, so we can have our own land, so we can get away from this vicious, cruel, and hate-filled master. The house nigga would say, why would you want to get away? I get the best food, I sleeps up in the attic, I wear the best clothes, master treats me good. I just don't want to go into slavery. When the house burns down, the slave master would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick. If slavery wasn't a choice, we got a lot of explaining to do. Either we are some inferior, low IQ having monkeys, which damn well we know we're not, or we was a choice because we are psychologically shackled. And because those shackles aren't broken, and because of not only white supremacy, but white religious supremacy, I'm gonna say it again, white religious supremacy was the damn biggest chain on that shackle. Many of them had not even wanted the audacity to be free. Therefore, by proxy, would choose to be a slave or to sell out anybody who looked like them, that jeopardized their so-called illusion or delusion of comfortability on a plantation. Talking about freedom, because with freedom comes a responsibility. With freedom, you have to build your own. With freedom, you have to plant, you have to make things on your own. With freedom, right, comes the will to kill, to protect it. You have to have that in your soul. A lot of people would never want to fight against the people who have been psychologically imbued into their collective subconscious as God. So if your enemy is your deity, why would people who were enslaved by their enemy, who have that same enemy as their deity in their mind, fight for them for freedom? They would fight against their own for trying to have the audacity to stand up, rise up, peace, black, all right? So I figure not all slaves was a choice. No, nobody went and signed up for slavery. Like, what the hell, who would do that? But however, the psychological dynamic, which have a long-lasting, self-sustaining, right, effect on us as far as the shackles-mindedness of it, many of us are slaves by choice. When I talk about liberation, guess who my greatest opposition and opponent is? Black people. Anybody who's a freedom fighter who's been out for years, whether it's been 1 year or damn near 100, depending on how old you are, shout out to my elders on the front line fighting. You can't tell me most of the opposition that you have been met with, the disrespect, the trolling, even before the internet, have been your own people. right? When the original Black Panther Party was out, don't you know that there were over 3,000 black FBI agents and provocateurs on the FBI's payroll that infiltrated not just only them, but also us, but also the Mau Maus, also the Nation of Islam, and many other organizations? Slavery is a choice. The house nigga is in the way. The coon and the bed wench is in the way of your liberation. You will never get free as long as there's niggas, I said it. Sorry, my elder, I know you said calm down, but I'm gonna calm down. As long as there's niggas, Negroes, and colored folks, coons, mammies, and bucks, and toms, that slavery is their choice. As long as you have those components, and you talking about you want to be free, first of all, we're a minority in this country, just black folk, 14%, right? The conscious people, no matter what faction or school of thought you are in, is a minority within the minority. So we are outnumbered, right, across the board. We are in a system designed for our detriment and downfall. The white man's heaven is a black man's hell. And not only that, amongst us, we are outnumbered by mammies, toms, coons, bucks, and wenches who don't want to be free because niggas are scared of revolution. For my youthful listeners, please pardon the passion. The passion is really rooted at a strong love for the people and a desire for advancement for the collective. That's where the passion is coming from. I'm not here rapping about who I want to kill, and I'm swearing about that. I'm rapping with you about a mind state that we need to kill, and I'm passionate about that. So please pardon me, the youthful listeners, my elders, and my beloved queens out there who may have took some offense to what I said. I'm in rare form today because I'm hurt, because out of the love that I have and out of the desire that I have to want to see us make some advancements, even though we are on a collective, more accelerated level. That's right. This is a passion of love. So what you may see as fiery rhetoric is rooted in love. For you, I love you more than you hate yourself. I love you more than you hate yourself. That's why I have the audacity to come out here and speak what I'm going to speak. Hopefully, you know, when people have been asleep for a long time, the clock is on snooze, all the alarms are going off around them, they still snoring. Sometimes you got to say, man, listen, you got to shake them up in order to wake them up. You got to put that alarm on blast and shake them up in order. I'm shaking you up in order to wake you up. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. You talking about, Malcolm X said there's never been a bloodless revolution. But we got to start, the revolution starts within. Then it spreads abroad. How are we going to start an internal revolution that is going to impact the external reality that we're facing if we don't shake up some of these sleeping giants amongst us? How? You can't always intellectualize, African-centered-ize, theorize, right, and be an armchair scholar about the conditions of the black man. See, is rooted in the psychological dynamics that took place in slavery intergenerationally. This is all true. But some people don't hear you. They don't see that. Some of us, you got to go hard and vanguard in order to catch their attention. Many people attention will be caught in other ways. That's why there's many types of different teachers, and much respect to everybody who's teaching with resources of knowledge or whatever level that they're on to bring a message, to the people. However, there can't be no monolithic or monotone way to reach a people who are critically lost on different levels. Not only are we affected, we are infected. And shout out to my elder, New World Warrior, who said we're playing a suicidal role in a homicidal genocide. We're playing a suicidal role in a homicidal genocide. Slavery, psychologically speaking, at this point is a choice. Because I talk to a lot of conscious slaves. You're still robbing the people? You're a slave. I don't care how good your vocabulary is or how much you know. You're doing the bidding and the work of the master, and you're setting us back. You are a gatekeeper and you're a house nigga. That's right. I don't care how militant you front light. Anybody can have listen, man. A lot of you people at the Sarnetta Award should get Best Supporting Actors. For real, actors of the year. I'm gonna keep it real. I ain't gonna say no names. You know what I'm saying? I do this because I don't want a reward. My reward is when people walk up to me and say, or youth, damn man, you made me really have a different perspective. I wasn't even reading books like that. I wasn't even focused on that. I didn't really care. I didn't have no understanding or no desire to even want to know about that. Now I'm learning that, teaching my kids that, and I done left the game alone. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that give me that kind of love and respect. That's the greatest reward. You know what I'm saying? We definitely need to start net awards and definitely support that and come in the building. However, I'm speaking out of a passion of love because I love us more than we hate ourselves. I'm going to say it again. Slavery is a choice, psychologically speaking. Look at the condition of our people. Line up 10 black people and ask them what a solution is. Matter of fact, what is your identity? If you don't have a fist fight, you damn sure have a verbal one. There will be some lip boxing. If there ain't no fist boxing, you'll definitely get some lip boxing in there and some emotionalism and people that never talk to each other no more. Or go behind your back and shit on you to somebody else and smile in your face and act like they're your brother because we can't even agreeably disagree. Don't you know we're all contributing to keeping us right where we're at? To some extent, to a great extent. Because there cannot be any liberation without first breaking shackles, because the mental incarceration of the black man is what gave credence to the perpetual physical slavery that you see persist. That's my cousin right here from Boston. Come up here, cuz.
Boston's in the house.
Boston's in the house, three's up. Now, I ain't even expect to see my cousin here. I was supposed to link up with her later, right? Because you know me, I always been on this, right?
Yes, yes.
All your life, and you in your 30s. I ain't trying to put you on blast,
yes.
right? You know what I'm saying? So, no matter what, flaws and all, this is not a front. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? This is who I am. I've evolved and matured and got a lot wiser and evolved my perspectives over the years, but this is in my soul. I'm gonna probably die for what I stand for, but if you represent your block, nigga, you gonna die for that. You know what I'm saying? If you're a firefighter, and you should, we need people to, you know, as heroes and stuff like that. I got uncles and relatives that are you're going to die for that. Whatever you stand for as a frontline soldier, you should be willing to die for that. You should be real with it. A lot of people acting like they're down with this are not real. It's a facade and it's a hustle to get money off of the pain and the struggle of black people. It's a hustle. You know what I'm saying? I do this broke. I don't even got a GoFundMe. You know what I'm saying? I do my little lectures here and there. You know what I'm saying? I do this because what I get out of this, right, it's not self-grandizement. What I get out of this is seeing my people wanting to wake up, changing lives. You know what I'm saying? Breaking shackles. You know what I mean? So I'm just a spoke in the wheel of revolution, and I'm going to die proud of that. I'm going to holler at you on the side, cuz. Yo, but good seeing you, though. Yo, I haven't seen cuz in like what? Over 15 years, yo. And she just happened to be walking through in Harlem. Matter Pan, baby, we out here. Yeah, yo, cuz, don't go too far. All right, I'm going to holler at you afterwards, all right? Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? She knew all her life I've been on this. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't going nowhere. The point of the matter is this. Where we're at and where we can be is all up to us. If you are God, then you are the God of your destination. You are the God of your situation, and you are the God of your destiny. You can break the shackles, change your reality, right? They said black people are magical. Look at all the talent we exhibit. It seems like we could do everything but get free. God damn. Don't nobody do nothing better than us than being a slave, though. We're the best at everything we do, especially being slaves, psychologically. And that's the part that I have a problem with. So if we're great at what we do and the whole world imitates us, even in our ignorance and our greatness, all of our talent ain't ignorant. I wouldn't dare do that. But even in our talented ignorance, the world wants to imitate and be like us. But we're better at being a slave than we are at any of our other greater talents. I think we need to infuse ourselves with a better liberation type of mindset and mentality on a collective level. Not everybody, but just enough people, because the micro affects the macro. And in doing so, the micro will affect the macro, and we will make being conscious, waking up and be a revolutionary minded. When I say revolutionary minded, I'm not talking about being pseudo with a dashiki. I love dashikis with a fist on, talking about, oh, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blickety black, black. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you might have to say none of that. You might not even be in front of a YouTube camera. You might not even be in front of a lens. You see what I'm saying? But you're behind the scenes doing what you need to do. Sometimes revolution starts right in your damn house. You don't always got to be in a movement or organization. It might just start in your mindset, how you see yourself, how you see your hair, how do you see the women and the men in your own community for the men and the women. That's where it starts. And once we change the way we think about ourselves, we change the dynamic of the way we relate with the people who see us all as inferior and all as exploitable cash cows. We're the greatest at what we do, even at being psychological slaves. So if we can exhibit greatness in any other level, the greatest level of greatness that we need to exhibit is in breaking the shackles of mental slavery. We should exhibit greatness, talent, and our power, right, as God and goddesses on the planet. That is the root to what we are. When I mentioned something about the sisters, I know sisters are going to be mad. I'm talking about the mentality or the spirit, if you will, that has possessed their God mind state in them and has the goddess in them incarcerated. That has the goddess in them shackled up. I'm talking about that. I'm cursing at that. I'm passionate and going off about that. So that's why Brad, the ghetto gagger, can just walk down the street with our sisters, and I'm walking around with a black is God shirt, and a black woman get mad. Not to say some black men wouldn't have been. That's right. That's right. Some of you O.J. Simpson niggas would have probably got mad too. I just happened not to run into you yet. I love us more than we hate ourselves. We need to wake up, and sometime in order to wake them up, you got to shake them up, because we're in a deep sleep, we're comatose, and we got to get right, as I always say, or we're going to get left, because in an ever-evolving and advancing world that's looking down on you, but is stealing your style, your charisma, your energy, your history, your greatness, duplicating it, selling it back to you and watering it down, and raising your kids all lost, ignorant, turned out. We need to wake the hell up. We are slaves by choice. Not because you're inferior. Not because you have a low IQ. The most intelligent person in the world, his name is Ramani Wilfred, at the Mensa Society, which is the biggest and most oldest IQ society in the world. You have Ramani Wilfred, who scored a 162 on his IQ. At the time, he was only 11 or 12 years old, from London, England. That put him in the 1% most intelligent people in the world. He surpassed Steve Hawkins, Bill Gates, and Albert Einstein. We exhibit greatness. Greatness is in our DNA, but we got to tap back into that. Because we aren't. We exhibit the residue and the perpetuation of psychological slavery, which means that slavery is a choice. Whether it's material, you're a slave to materialism, a slave to drug addiction, a slave to self-hatred, There's many types of forms of slavery, right? Slavery means one who is controlled by or dominated by an outside influence other than itself. It doesn't say that when you're Wikipedia, it's Sankofa. I'm giving a gist because I'm not a parrot. I got knowledge though, so I can put it in my own perspective and give understanding and enlightenment to those who are seeking it. You get the point I'm making. Slavery is one who is controlled by the will of somebody else, outside of their own will. So, if it's your will that you're destroying yourself and don't want to wake up and do it, slavery has to be a choice, or something is wrong with black people. We have to answer those questions, and we have a lot of explaining to do, right? As soon as we wake up and we change the world around us. The world who looks up to us just through hip-hop and through our talent, whether they agree, know it, or say it publicly or not, awaken for the sleeping giants, and the first shall be last and the last shall be first. That's real. They're waiting for us to wake up, right? The greatest fallen part of humanity shall rise again. We are in a paradigm shift of consciousness where people are rising up. But it seems like on the brink of that mental and psychological and spiritual resurrection is we're playing a tug of war. We're not even rope with a chain on a shackle of the mind of our people. And if there wasn't by choice, we wouldn't have to fight our own just to tell you to wake up so we can get free. Slavery must be a choice, psychologically. Let's break the shackles. Let's grow, let's get better, and let's get free or die trying. Peace and black power.